She wasn't seen by doctors after an early age.
When she was born, she was addicted to methadone, had to be weaned off that. And following that point, we have no record that she was ever seen by a physician.
Welcome back. I'm Cassie and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today did not have as much information, so it's a little bit shorter of a video. But don't worry, that does not mean all my videos going forward are going to be this short. However, when they are, that means I just have time to make an extra video for you guys. So the case I'll be telling you about today is one that just makes you stop and think, are you kidding me? Whether this little girl was hurt intentionally or out of ignorance, it was clear for weeks, maybe even months prior to her death that something was wrong. This is the story of Karmity Hoeb. Karmity Faith Hoeb was born on December 15, 2017, in Cincinnati, Ohio, to her parents Christopher Hoeb and Tamara Banks. The family lived in Union Township, Ohio, and Karmity's nickname was Boogie, which suited her because she loved acting silly. She also loved looking at herself in the mirror and posing for the camera. Karmity was said to be smart and vibrant. She also loved playing with her Mickey buddies and racing her cars. When Karmity was born, she was born addicted to methadone and had to be weaned off it. Following that, there's no record of the little girl ever going to see a physician, as her parents never obtained health insurance for her. Karmity's father, Christopher, worked full-time at a Walmart, so her mother, Tamara, was her primary caregiver. But she did not do a very good job of this. On January 25, 2022, Tamara called 911 after Karmity had stopped breathing and turned blue. Paramedics arrived at the home shortly thereafter, and they were able to revive the little girl before then transporting her to Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center. But when Karmity arrived at the hospital, doctors discovered that she was brain dead. Her cause of death was diabetic ketoacidosis, which had spread to her brain. Apparently, little Karmity had undiagnosed type 1 diabetes, but her parents had denied her proper medical care and proper nutrition. This had caused her to go into diabetic ketoacidosis. Now, diabetic ketoacidosis happens when the body doesn't have enough insulin to process blood sugar into energy. Symptoms include extreme thirst, frequent urination, nausea and vomiting, stomach pain, weakness, and fatigue. So there would have been signs that something was wrong with Karmity in the days leading up to her death. In fact, days before Karmity had been brought to the hospital, she had been experiencing many of these symptoms, but her parents had done nothing about it until she had stopped breathing. Not only did Karmity have undiagnosed type 1 diabetes, but her mother was also feeding her baby formula mixed with Mountain Dew in a bottle, up until the time she was 4 years old. Now, a 12-ounce can of Mountain Dew contains almost 50 grams of sugar. Experts say that children should have less than 24 grams of sugar a day. Investigators would also find that Karmity had never been to the dentist. So alongside the 4-year-old's diabetes, Karmity had also suffered from a condition that had caused all her baby teeth to dissolve. The thing is, Karmity's mother, Tamara, had a number of health issues herself, and she took efforts to meet her own medical needs, but ignored her daughter's. This included Tamara regularly refilling her own prescriptions, and she even had scheduled doctor's visits to her apartment for various illnesses. Now, this wasn't the first time that Tamara had ignored one of her child's medical needs. She actually had several children from a previous relationship, and she had a son who had fallen into a coma in 2011. He also was only 4 years old when this happened, and like Karmity, he had undiagnosed diabetes as well. According to Tamara's older son, who lived in the home at the time, his brother had just one day went lethargic and then wouldn't move. The only thing he would respond to was sugar, and for 36 hours while this was happening, Tamara passed out in the back room of their house. The older son actually had to wake her up and tell her that she needed to take the 4-year-old to the hospital. And even while her son was recovering, Tamara continued to neglect his medical needs. She failed to have him see a doctor or attend any of his follow-up visits. So she very well knew the dangers associated with diabetes. Tamara's older son also said that he had never even had the chance to meet his little sister, Karmity, because she had been kept away from the rest of the family. Both 41-year-old Tamara Banks and 52-year-old Christopher Hoeb were arrested and charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter, and endangering children. They were accused of creating substantial risk to the health and safety of their daughter by violating their duty of care and allegedly abusing her over a 2-year period from January 1st, 2020 to January 25th, 2022. Both Tamara and Christopher's bond amounts were set to only $350,000 each. And during her indictment, Tamara would tell a judge that she believed she was caring for Karmity to the best of her ability. She actually thought that she was properly caring for her daughter, or at least that's what she said. Now, Karmity's father expressed remorse for his actions and said that he wishes he could bring his daughter back. He said he was not around for much of the time and also did not know that Tamara had another child with diabetes until after Karmity had died. According to Christopher, he takes diabetes very seriously because his mother had diabetes as well and passed away from it. But he's her father, so he should have known that something was wrong, even if he was working full-time hours. Either way, Christopher accepted responsibility for his daughter Karmity's death, and he would end up pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. His other charges would be dropped, and Christopher was sentenced to at least 7 years in prison. Yep, just 7. Under state law, based on Christopher's conduct in prison, this sentence can be extended up to 10.5 years. Tamara also pleaded guilty to the involuntary manslaughter charge. Her other charges were dropped as well, and she was sentenced to 9 years in prison. And based on her conduct in prison, she could face up to 13.5 years. Shockingly, in Karmity's obituary, her parents wrote a tribute to her where they spoke of their love for their daughter. And they wrote that she had a very happy childhood, which I doubt. Prior to Christopher and Tamara's arrests, a family friend had actually opened up a GoFundMe to help them pay for Karmity's funeral expenses. The GoFundMe said that Chris's sweet little girl lost her fight with a sudden episode of juvenile diabetes, and that she had been healthy her entire life up until a few days prior to her death. Karmity Hoeb's funeral was held on February 4th, 2022 at E.C. Nur Funeral Home in Union Township. She was then buried at Interment Plainview Cemetery in Newtonsville. Well, thank you for listening to Karmity's story today. It is so unbelievable that she was being fed Mountain Dew all the time and out of a bottle until she was 4 years old. Baby formula is supposed to be made with water, which is free. So I assume the Mountain Dew was given to her to make her happy and to, not have to deal with being a parent and telling her no. And the thing is, her mother knew the symptoms of untreated diabetes, but she did nothing for her sweet daughter. So if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least twice every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Also, if you haven't yet, go check out my new channel, Wicked Ways. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.